over the past 4 or 5 months, I've been waking up very early, around 4 a.m. most days. And more recently, my schedule allows me to wake up a little bit later than that. So I've been kind of experimenting to see what works. And I think I'm probably going to switch to 5 a.m. just because I feel like I can get more focused work done early in the morning. That's kind of just when I shine. Building up the habit of waking up that early every day and being functional can be very hard. So these are the 10 habits that I built up from researching and watching people like Andrew Huberman, and also just experimenting with my own habits. So before I start, I want to talk about the circadian rhythm, since I'm going to be mentioning that a lot during this. The circadian rhythm is a natural internal process that regulates the sleep cycle, and it restarts every 24 hours, roughly. It's influenced by external factors like light and darkness, helping your body align with the day-night cycle. So the circadian rhythm plays an important role in determining the best times for sleep, wakefulness, and various other physiological processes. So this is important for optimizing our sleep, and it's why most of my habits are based around it. So first, I'll tell you guys about the habits that help me fall asleep in the nighttime, and then I'll tell you the habits that I do in the morning to wake up on time and be alert when I wake up. So habit number 1 is have dinner at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. So when you eat a large meal, your body is using energy to digest that food. Your digestive system needs time to break down and absorb the nutrients from said food. And on top of that, lying down after eating can cause things like acid reflux and heartburn, so not good. I know this might seem like common sense for most people, but me personally, growing up, I always had dinner very close to bedtime, if not right before going to bed. And I always had problems going to sleep, and I always had even more problems the next day. I would always feel like absolute garbage. Since I started pushing back my eating window, I've noticed a significant improvement in my ability to fall asleep, and also just how I feel throughout the day. The second habit that I do is stop drinking water 2 hours before going to bed. This is simply just to prevent having to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. Because me personally, once I'm up, I cannot fall back asleep. So if I wake up middle of the night, it's over. But it's important to remember that this isn't the only thing that could be making you wake up in the middle of the night. It could be some other factor that makes you wake up in the middle of the night, and then you happen to go to the bathroom. So I would say that this is probably a good thing to add to your habits that you do, just so you don't have the urge to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. But it might be something else that's causing you to wake up in the middle of the night. So just keep that in mind. And number 3 is remove all screen usage before going to bed. This one is by far probably the most important habit that has improved my ability to fall asleep, and everybody should be doing this. It all has to do with our circadian rhythm, like I was saying earlier. So the blue light from your phone and other screens can interfere with the body's natural production of melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep. And a lot of people don't know that melatonin is a natural hormone that we have that comes out when we are trying to go to sleep. So this is why it's so easy to get stuck on your phone till 4 a.m. because it pretty much counteracts that melatonin. It literally makes you stay up because there's light in your face when it's not supposed to be. You're probably not a night owl, you're probably just doom scrolling. Remember, our circadian clock is directly aligned with sunlight. Therefore, seeing unnatural light before going to bed is just counterproductive. Instead, consider engaging in relaxing activities instead of using your phone or computer. So first 3 habits that I said, I actually pretty much learned from Ali Abdaal, at least the first 2 I did, not the last one. He calls it the 3-2-1 method. So it's just a good idea to keep in your head. Stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed. Stop drinking 2 hours before you go to bed, and then turn off all screens 1 hour before you go to bed. That's the best way to kind of remember how to do this. So 3-2-1 method. The next habit that helps you wind down for the night is warm showers. I find that after a long day, taking a warm shower kind of helps alleviate some of the tension that I built up in my body throughout the day and relax my muscles. So warm showers can be beneficial for multiple reasons, one of which is the natural fluctuation of body temperature. So as you step out of a warm shower, your body temperature actually begins to drop, which imitates the body's natural cooling process during sleep, following the circadian rhythm. So it's kind of just that mixture of mental relaxation and your body's natural sleep pattern that makes warm showers so good for sleep. Number 5, the last thing that I do every night before I go to sleep, during that kind of last hour when I'm not using my devices, is journaling and reading. Journaling, specifically brain dump journaling is a great way to mentally unload and reduce some of that stress and anxiety that can be built up throughout the day. I find that just reflecting on the day that I just had or anything that I want to makes me feel relaxed, and it makes me feel like my day is accomplished and finished. And there's also the same reason why I read before going to bed. After I reflect on the day, I can move on from it and just immerse myself in a good book. For me, reading a good book while I'm lying down just always makes me sleepy, and I've kind of turned it into like a sort of ritual for falling asleep. These are the perfect things to do during that last hour, like I was saying, when you turn off all your devices and you turn off all the lights in your room. And if you're wondering how I see the books, I actually use a small dim nightlight that I bought for really cheap on Amazon. So I'll link this in the description. I think it was like $10. Plus, using this time also makes the perfect opportunity to make a daily reading and a daily journaling habit. So generally, those are the things that I do in the nighttime that helps me get better sleep and get to sleep faster. And now I'll tell you the 5 habits that I do in the morning that help me wake up on time and feeling alert. Wake up at the same time every day. Now, I know many of you guys like to sleep in on weekends, but your body clock doesn't differentiate weekends versus a weekday. It doesn't care. So you probably shouldn't stay out both days on the weekend because it's just going to completely disrupt your circadian rhythm. Also, I wouldn't recommend that you sleep in excessively on the weekends just to make up for like the lack of sleep you got before, because there's no special sleep bank that your sleep goes in that you can use later. You probably just feel better if you're waking up following your circadian clock and then going to sleep around a similar time. So even on weekends, I still wake up at the same time, even if I stay out a little bit later. That's because if I decide to sleep in, even after being out the night before, and I still get more sleep than I would have previously gotten, like if I were to stay out late and then I sleep in about like 10 hours or something on the weekend, I still feel super groggy the next day, and I find it really hard to fall asleep the following night. So I understand that life happens and things happen. We can't always fall asleep at the exact time every night, but I would recommend that you try to wake up at the same time every night, because I think that's probably the more important of the 2 habits for that. The second habit that I do in the morning is drink a bottle of water right after I wake up. So every night before I go to bed, I put a bottle of water. Every night before I go to sleep, I put a bottle of water right by my bedside table, which is actually just my desk, so I can immediately chug it first thing in the morning. I actually have it right here, and when I woke up, I just chugged the bottle. So if you think about it, we're generally sleeping for 8 hours, which is technically 1/3 of the 24-hour day. And that is all time that you're not hydrating yourself. So you need to replace that water intake that you missed during that 8 hours that you were sleeping. Most people don't do this, and then you guys wonder why you guys have headaches all day. And yes, I'm talking to you, that one girl that always has a headache. So the easiest way to make this a habit is to just put a glass or bottle of room temperature water somewhere near where you sleep. That way, the first thing you can do in the morning is to just pick it up and chug it. I promise you that once you actually wake up and see it, you're gonna immediately think, I want some of that water, because your throat's gonna be super dry. Probably didn't hydrate enough yesterday either. Number 3 is turn on all the lights in your room or house immediately after you wake up. Technically, it's better to wake up and go outside to see sunlight. At the time that I wake up, it's pretty impractical because the sun just isn't up, and it's not the same all throughout the year, daylight savings and all that, so it's kind of hard to use that, and wake up at a specific time. So I at least turn on all the lights in my house to kind of, wake me up and not feel like I'm gonna fall back asleep because it's so dark in my room. Don't wake up, sit in your bed, and then just stare at like the dark wall, because you're not gonna be able to wake up. I promise you, you will feel a lot better if you just immediately turn on the light and deal with the blinding light for like 2 seconds. So in my opinion, if you want to wake up quickly in the morning, the best way to do it is to take a cold shower. The sudden exposure to cold temperatures can stimulate your nervous system, specifically adrenaline and epinephrine. And when you think of adrenaline, you probably associate it with the fight or flight, right? That's exactly why it wakes you up. Cold exposure can also increase blood circulation, and it essentially moves oxygen and other nutrients in your blood to all parts of the body, including your brain, which also can increase mental clarity, so better focus. Now, there's a whole bunch of other reasons why people do cold exposure that has to do with like metabolism and fat loss and things like that, but me personally, I just do it to get that kind of kick in the morning to wake me up, and I can just get right into my work right after that. Number 5 is get real sunlight. So it's still beneficial to get some real sunlight in your eyes early in the day. Andrew Huberman says within about 60 to 90 minutes after waking up, but if you can't do that, at least within the first few hours of the day to kind of regulate that circadian rhythm, because exposure to natural light early in the morning helps signal to your body that it's time to wake up and be alert. This early sunlight also helps to align your natural sleep cycle because you are seeing the sunlight at the correct time instead of staying in your dark room. So after I get some work done in the morning, I'll take a little break, and if the sun is up, then I'll go outside and get about 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight. More than that if it's a really nice day, but not so much recently since it's really cold and I'm in New England. There's something about sitting outside and just enjoying the relaxing sun in the morning is just really fulfilling and really calming. So I take every opportunity that I can. I usually like to do it like after I make my breakfast and just kind of enjoy my breakfast outside. So now that I've told you what my sleep habits are, I just want to note one thing, actually two things. What works for me might not work for you. So try experimenting with some of these things and see what helps you. I'm still adding and removing things and trying to optimize my sleep, and I'm probably going to make an updated video talking more about these things because I really want to optimize this as much as possible to help, improve my focus and just perform better throughout the day. I doubt that my routine will be the same thing a few months from now. Another thing is, don't beat yourself up if you don't do these things every single day. I don't do all of these things every single day. I just generally try to follow this sort of schedule. So don't stress yourself out about it because it might end up making your sleep worse if you're stressing about how you're going to go to sleep. You know what I mean? I would say that if you try to incorporate some of these habits, just try to do them as much as possible and see how they work for you. The thing I want to mention is that I know it seems like a lot of things that I'm doing, but these habits don't take up much of my time at all. Generally, I do these things in the first and last hour of the day, and I have been doing that for months now, while I've been having a full-time job, by the way. I know that a lot of people that tell you how to improve your sleep and morning routines and night routines and stuff like that don't take into account that a lot of us have jobs or we have school, and they're usually unemployed. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they're kind of blinded to the fact that we have, responsibilities. So I just want you to know that I do all of these things in the first and last hour of the day. These things are very possible for you to incorporate into your life. I don't want to give you some kind of morning routine that's impossible to replicate. And if you guys want a full morning routine that I do, kind of similar to what I've kind of explained here, but there are some other things that I kind of do in the morning, but it's still short. It's like an hour, I don't need 3 hours to have a morning routine that's impossible to replicate. So now that I got that out of the way, I think that's it. Sign up to my newsletter, the Saturday Self-Improver. People who are subscribed to that already got this info days ago. So check that out if you're interested. We have the Discord in the description. If you want to speak to like-minded individuals, and you can talk to me personally on there, when I'm active about sleep or anything else you want to talk about, self-improvement. So definitely check that out. And I think that's it. So I'll see you.